Coming up on this WEBN special presentation, we have a live report from Boston about a young boy who can only communicate using his iPad. So when it was stolen, he was left without a voice. A hockey coach is using a new kind of technology to help kids learn how to skate. And one group started an accessible martial arts class that is helping people with disabilities learn some new skills.
It sort of shows, again, everyone involved that they're just like everyone else.
The simple act of walking into a room may seem like an easy task for most, but for a person with a disability, it may bring all new challenges. Welcome to this WEBN special presentation, Beyond the Disability. I'm Jill Guerin. In the next half hour, you'll see how people find ability in disability. The federal government defines a person with a disability as, quote, someone who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, has a record of such impairment, or is regarded as having such an impairment, end quote. That definition doesn't tell us the whole story. It defines it, but it doesn't tell us about the many people who live it and the others who are trying to help. Our reporter Javier Rodriguez is live in Boston. He met a boy whose ability to communicate was stolen. Javier?
That little boy's name is Hunter. He was born with a rare condition called Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome. He is unable to speak, so when his iPad was stolen at a Brockton bakery, he was left literally speechless, and his parents heartbroken.
The most hardest part of it is I blame myself because I feel like I left him down because that's how he speaks. A lot of people don't understand that.
Hunter and his parents went to a bakery to buy a cake. When they left the shop to go to the restaurant next door, they realized the iPad was missing.
I was like, Hunter, what do you want for lunch? Like, where's your words? And we were like, oh crap, like I don't have them, he doesn't have them. So we went back to the bakery and I tried to, like the first time I went and I explained, like, did someone find an iPad? This is what it looks like. It's my son's communication device, and no one had turned one in.
A thief stole what Hunter's parents call his words. Hunter can only communicate through the iPad because he has Rubinstein-Tabby syndrome.
It's basically a spectrum of developmentally delayed to some extent, which we've seen. Like, he didn't walk until he was over 2. He didn't, and all like sitting, crawling, and sitting up, he did later than the milestones. It can have a lot of complex medical issues, which thankfully he doesn't. And then he has like the physical characteristics. He has like broad thumbs, broad toes, and he looks like everyone else that has RTS.
A lot of them are nonverbal, like my son.
On the iPad, Hunter has a voice app, which he uses to talk.
To watch. TV.
Hunter can tell you by pictures that are on the iPad. Like if he wanted an orange, we would have to take a picture of an orange and label it an orange. We would have to take it and put it in fruits or snacks, or it would have to be pretty much categorized.
Juice box.
Yeah, you did juice box. Good job, Babs.
It helps him speak as in sentences. And when he hits these buttons, when he hits what he wants, it's an actual voice that will actually say it for him.
The bakery gifted Hunter a new iPad the day after it was stolen. Hunter's parents are grateful, but have this message to send to the thief.
You think you took an iPad, but you really, like, for my son for 24 hours, he couldn't talk to us. So I think, like, the bigger lesson is just don't take things that aren't yours. Just return them.
You had no way to communicate to somebody in any type of way, shape, way, or form. How would you feel? I would like to know how you would feel, because that's how my son felt.
Hunter's parents told me that police were able to get a hold of the surveillance footage from the bakery and say the investigation is ongoing. Live in Boston for WEBN News, I'm Javier Rodriguez.
Thank you, Javier. iPads aren't the only technology helping kids with special needs. Our reporter Rob Way met a local coach who's using lights on ice to teach kids with disabilities how to play hockey.
They see other kids play hockey and they see other kids train. Now that they have this cue, they can do it just as well as they can.
And Coach Joe is doing that by using lights in a whole new way.
I was always looking for the reason why as adults can we not communicate effectively to kids. That's the uniqueness of this situation, is I can custom tailor this to anybody learning style.
He does it by designing a PowerPoint with a skater's favorite things.
We've had SpongeBob for one kid and Patrick for another and Scooby-Doo for another. And
Coach Joe then uses those characters as part of the hockey drills and projects them from above.
They help me focus. Because usually with my regular hockey practice, it's a lot harder just having the coaches explain it to you. But here with all the lights and the projections on the ice, it helps me focus.
Liam O'Brien has ADHD, so learning to play hockey on a regular rink isn't always easy.
He has issues with executive functioning, so he has a hard time following multi-step directions. So again, being told once to do something and then just following the cues on the floor, it makes all the difference in the world.
And it's a difference Maureen Sweeney has seen in her own son, Patrick, who has autism.
A couple of years ago, we didn't think he'd be able to stand up on the ice, And then once he did, he was, just going really fast. So it's just great in that he can do an activity that all the other kids are enjoying, So it's nice to see him out here having fun. And that's what we want for him, is to just, come out and have fun.
And Coach Joe wants that too. One reason he created this program was so kids with disabilities can get in the rink.
they have a great time with it. So we're trying to make hockey for everyone and sports for everyone.
Besides hockey, Smart Light Sports uses the same technology for lacrosse training. Reporting in Woburn for WEBN, I'm Rob Way.
Lights may be used for the sighted, but it's sound that's used for the blind. Our reporter Allie Reed went to the Perkins School for the Blind, where they made a holiday tradition more about what you can hear than what you can see.
That's the sound of a beeping egg. More than 100 people Saturday morning met at Perkins Lower Campus for their annual Easter egg hunt.
It's organized, it's well structured, everyone's polite, showing us everything. We did arts and crafts. It's been a great time.
That's Nancy Hickey. Her daughter Kristen was born completely blind.
But I noticed she wasn't making eye contact with me, and then for the routine eye exam as she needed to go anyways. And that's when we found out Kristen had ROP, which is retinopathy of premature. And that at that point, we went to Mass Eye in there. Kristen had retinal detachments, and unfortunately it couldn't be detached. So she has been blind all her life.
She stressed that today isn't about heartbreak or the negative, and in fact, today was quite the opposite.
And all it takes is a click of a button to get some candy in return.
But any child that's visually impaired just really has to listen for the eggs that's beeping, and then those little surrounding eggs around the beeping egg is how they go and find them.
And this event wouldn't be possible if it weren't for the people who put in the extra hours to make this special day happen.
I thought many years ago when I first volunteered that the parents and the siblings had to volunteer. I don't have any ties to Perkins, and I thought if I could volunteer, then the families could be families for that day, and I could just help out and let them enjoy the day. It's very low key, so there's not a lot of things that they have to do. They just sign up so we know how many are coming here, and then we do our best to accommodate them, because we do get sometimes special requests, and the last thing we want to say to any of the children is no.
But most importantly, these families can't wait to come back and do it all again next year.
Today, with Perkins School for the Blind and now Kristen's in a great private residential home, they're amazing. The support's great. I mean, it's great. It really, really is. Family and friends make all that as well. Teachers, they're great. They really are.
Reporting at the Perkins School for the Blind, Allie Reed, WEBN News.
Coming up on this WEBN special presentation. Our reporter Ross Ketchke went to a local art studio that is trying to help people with disabilities express themselves. And later, we have a live report from one of Boston's busiest T-stops, and it doesn't have an elevator. Our reporter Sean Stackhouse talked to one local group who's trying to make the city more accessible. Welcome back to this WEBN special presentation, Beyond the Disability. For most non-disabled people, getting a job is something that is taken for granted. It's not always that way for people with Down syndrome. They may have an extra chromosome, but that doesn't mean they can't work. Your Next Star is an initiative of the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress. Our reporter, Christina Gesford, met 2 people with Down syndrome who got a job because of this group. She's live in Boston. Christina?
That's right, I met 2 of the newest employees at Babson College. We talked about their new job and the importance of employing people with Down syndrome. While I was there, they were hard at work, but ready to make you laugh.
I love to get my nails done because I know that I am handing stuff out, definitely, because it's 24/7 hands-on work.
Sanaz Khalila Dadowi works at Babson College's public safety office and loves every second of it.
We are literally 24/7 on the feet, hands-on, on the feet, working. So it's amazing. I love it.
It's a job she has thanks to Your Next Star, an initiative working to help people with Down syndrome get hired.
Having Down syndrome and having something extra that you feel that it's a disability doesn't stop you to work.
And Sanaz believes it shouldn't stop you from doing anything else either.
Having a disability, having Down syndrome, doesn't stop you to do anything. You can do whatever you want to do, but the thing is that it just makes you to be a little slower than others, which is okay.
For Sanaz, it just means she needs a little more time, but it doesn't change her attitude.
I am a really social person. Outgoing, go-getter, bubbly person. I am a people person. I love doing office work. I love writing. I love typing. It's just amazing. And I love helping people.
So does Sebastian Sterling, who works on the other side of campus.
It's about putting smiling faces. This means more, get more happiness. Happiness, like you listen to the music, about happy song, like don't worry, be happy.
And he's happy working for the Babson Athletic Department.
At first, I go way up here.
Sebastian also thinks people with Down syndrome deserve a chance to work.
All Down syndrome need a job. Look at inspire the jobs, about job training, job skills.
It's training he got from Your Next Star, and his mom is thrilled he's working in athletics.
He is doing something that he is enjoying, and he's being around young people. But it's also because for people with Down syndrome, as for the typical population, it's just so important to have a job, have a responsibility, to have something that you wake up to, something you take care of, something you have pride in.
As happy as her son is having a job, there's one thing that gets under his skin.
I don't like we say sweet or cute or something. That's unprofessional. They call me Sebastian because it's my name.
Your Next Star has also helped place people with Down syndrome at the State House and at TD Garden. Reporting live in Boston, Christina Gesford, WEBN News.
Thanks, Christina. One group who also finds it hard to get a job is veterans. They have risked their lives overseas, and though most do come home, they often face some hardships. Other than struggling to find work, many suffer with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. According to estimates by the Department of Veterans Affairs, PTSD afflicts 20% of Iraq war veterans and over 10% of veterans who were in Afghanistan. Our reporter Joe Jacobs dug deeper into this topic.
Almost 31% of Vietnam veterans, 800,000 Americans, returned home with post-traumatic stress disorder as the carnage, trauma, and loss inflict lasting pain on American soldiers. 25 years later, they still had lingering effects from the disease. PTSD affects not just veterans, but over 7.7 million American adults, as it's similar to a stress overload, a blown fuse in the brain. PTSD victims can become emotionally distant to those around them and feel overall more numb. Many have issues falling asleep as they relive the experiences both during the day and at night. There are no known cures for the disease, and many times the effects of the disease lead to mental problems like depression, anxiety, and night terrors, as well as concrete issues like job loss, homelessness, and poverty. Patients with PTSD can attempt to recover, but will never be able to forget their trauma. Exposure therapy, counseling, and medication can help alleviate some of their stress or potentially make it go away. But the healing process, especially for soldiers in particular, can be very difficult as they have to assimilate back to the monotony of civilized life, making it harder to shake their memories at war. The Veteran Affairs has been working to help victims cope with this disorder, but research still needs to be done to curb post-traumatic stress disorder. Jill, back to you.
People often want to find a way to express themselves after suffering with this disorder. The same goes for other people who have a disability. We go now to our in-studio correspondent, Ross Ketchke, who went to a local art studio which hopes to let people be themselves. Ross?
That's right, Jill. Over at Gateway Arts, people with disabilities have a space to make art in whatever form they want. And needless to say, they love doing it.
I just love making art. I can't stop doing it. I can't stop quitting it. Everything what I think of is in my head is just art.
And at Gateway, Daryl Richards is allowed to let it all out. Gateway started over 40 years ago after the deinstitutionalization of state schools. For more than half that time, Stephen DeFranzo has been the art director. He says the deinstitutionalization freed people with disabilities.
And some of the people who were at Gateway, initially all of them came from state schools, and they had incredible stories about how they basically felt like they were in prison.
It was a place they couldn't express themselves, but DeFranzo says at Gateway, now they can.
I think that self-expression is what everyone craves. Everyone wants to be able to say, hey, I'm here, I exist, this is who I am. And it's something about the human spirit. You want to be known as an individual, and you want to be seen as your unique individual self. For people with disabilities, it's even more important because people stop them from doing that. It's like, stop doing that, don't do that, that's not right. They're being followed and monitored and being told what's the right way to behave and be. And when they come to Gateway, they're totally free. They are free to express what they want to express through their artwork.
It's a freedom Richards is happy to have, and now he wants to pass it on to others.
My future goal is to actually help people with art and being a teacher. So I want people to actually not make the same mistake too as what I did 5 years ago. So I want people to actually love art and practice it.
And because of Ray Edelson, he can do that. She's the director of Gateway Arts.
The mission is to give people a productive life where they are integrated into the community and where they pursue what is a legitimate profession. They have resumes, they're on our website, they have a gallery, they have a store. So it is to legitimize them as artists and integrate them into the art community.
That integration lets these artists become known for their creativity and not their disability. Back to you, Jill.
Thanks, Ross. And coming up on this WEBN special presentation, we have a live report from the Boston Common about accessibility in the city. And our reporter Rafael Lopez looked into an app helping people who are blind find the nearest bus stop. Welcome back. When you mention the T in Boston, most people have something to say, but it's often not about accessibility. The MBTA runs the city's buses, subways, trains, and trolleys. The most up-to-date numbers from 2016 show that almost 1.3 million riders use the service every weekday, and a number of those commuters have a physical disability. Our reporter Sean Stackhouse looked into how the T has adapted to the needs of its riders and how some people hope more changes to come. Right now, he's live outside the Boylston T stop on the Boston Common. Sean?
The MBTA is often criticized for its service, but not often is it criticized for its accessibility. Multiple T stations like the Boylston Street stop behind me are not handicap accessible, and you have to walk down a steep set of stairs to reach the train. Or you have to walk all the way down to this Park Street station on the other side of the Common. I spoke with the Boston Center for Independent Living on how they are trying to make the MBTA accessible for everyone.
The platforms keep getting higher and higher, which means that my chair dips down to get on the subway, and then to try to get off, I have to either gun it or go off backwards, which sometimes, given it being rush hour and stuff, it can be real dangerous.
For Dan Harris, getting around Boston is not easy. And for many with disabilities in the city, using the MBTA is a constant struggle.
I would have to sit there and count the number of stops. So, okay, it's 5 stops to get to my destination. I got to sit there and count. So I can't have a conversation with you because I'm sitting there trying to count 1, 2, 3, trying to count the stops.
Andrew Foreman struggles with the MBTA too. He's one of the thousands that rely on the service to get to work every day. Now he and many others work at the Boston Center for Independent Living, advocating for disability rights.
We're promoting the full integration to the degree feasible for each person with a disability who comes to us for services or advocacy.
That advocacy met the MBTA in 2004 when the Boston Center for Independent Living became part of a lawsuit against the transportation service.
The issues were as serious as buses without access, no lifts, buses driving by people with disabilities, elevators and subway stations was huge.
The MBTA went on to address their accessibility issues, but now, 12 years after the lawsuit, work still needs to be done.
And we're still saying, look, pointing out the priorities. Look, you guys don't. When you're making this design, you got to think about people with disabilities. I mean, Boylston Stop is it's not accessible for someone in a wheelchair.
I mean, we are Boston. We are a hub, and we are a very vibrant disability community. And I feel like the transit system, which is meant for all people, should reflect that.
The Boston Center for Independent Living will continue their fight for accessibility, so that all Bostonians' needs can be met.
And my needs may be different than your needs because I can't see, as well as someone else. But I still have needs, and I am part of the public.
The Boston Center for Independent Living offers other services outside of transportation, including peer mentoring and skill development. Live outside the Boylston Street T-Stop, I'm Sean Stackhouse, WEBN News.
Thank you, Sean. It's clear that commuting is no easy task, especially for a person with a physical disability. But what if you needed to find a bus stop and you were blind? Our reporter Rafael Lopez looked into an app guiding people who are blind to the nearest stop.
How do you find a bus stop if you can't see? That's what Joanne Becker has had to deal with her entire life.
I would walk down Mount Auburn Street and I would use GPS, and I knew that there was a bus stop on a particular street, but the bus inevitably would go right past me because I wasn't at the specific bus stop.
So that's when Becker teamed up with the Perkins School for the Blind, local software developer Raise Labs, and the MBTA. With a $700,000 grant from Google, they created
Blind Ways,
a cell phone app that guides blind people find a bus stop on the road.
I don't know that anyone's really approached this specific problem in this way.
There are about 8,000 bus stops all across the city. The folks at Perkins Solutions say they need your help to put some clues within the app so that people like Joanne can navigate through areas they've never been to.
So I can keep listening for the various clues that are provided by people contributing these clues and find out if I'm near that bus stop. So I listen for each of the clues, and then using my cane, I then find the tree, I find the garbage can, I find the bus stop pole.
Becker says that she's excited that the app is helping those that need it and is looking for more funding so that Blind Ways can be used in other cities across the nation. In Watertown, Rafael Lopez, WEBN News.
Accessibility concerns go beyond transportation. A group is trying to make martial arts more accessible for everyone. Our reporter Chloe Tebow went to a class where people of all ages practiced their skills.
I don't know, I've never seen a class like this.
That's because this martial arts class is more than just punching and kicking.
I think it really gives
youth a sense of empowerment. It allows youth to meet one another with disabilities and show them they're not the only ones, because a lot of them come from classrooms where they are the only person with a disability.
But here, they are not alone.
It sort of shows, again, everyone involved that they're just like everyone else. If you join the local sort of gym classes, you just feel like there's a spotlight on you, and it sort of adds another level of pressure that other people don't feel. So it makes you stick out, and that takes away from what the goal of the class is.
This class was created to make people with disabilities feel welcome.
We wanted to design the class so everyone can take part equally in it. So we teach the lesson for the day, but then we also make sure that if anyone needs to adapt a certain part of it, then we're focusing on each individual so they can do whatever they can to take part in the class.
And for participants like Brennan, it's all about staying active.
It's good, it's healthy. Running and jumping are good exercises.
The class also aims to go beyond exercise.
People with disabilities are also at risk for abuse, and this is an opportunity for them to learn a little self-defense, and sometimes it's just that confidence that can help someone to be more safe.
An accessible martial arts class just ended in this room here. Easter Seals is hoping to bring more classes like this one to cities and towns across the state. Reporting from Boston, I'm Chloe Thibault for WEBN.
The Special Olympics have been a part of the sports world for 50 years. Our reporter, Catherine Lazarowitz, was at a local basketball court. She talked to some young athletes who were excited their time to shine was back.
Really good. I like his people, and I've played for 6 years, and they're my best friends.
The Special Olympics have changed Timmy's life, and the Special Olympics have been creating friendships for 50 years.
Mainly just a lot of teamwork and just so that we allow defense as much as we can and just having a good time playing.
Jane Mangili says the Special Olympics have given her son more confidence.
Oh, it's been a great experience. It's absolutely wonderful, especially seeing the competition and the excitement, and just seeing that they get an opportunity to feel success. So it's just been a wonderful experience.
Mangili's son Matthew is the team captain of the North Attleboro Big Red Machine. He has one big responsibility.
Well, just being captain, making sure that my guys were doing exactly what they're doing, making sure they're getting the plays right, and just having fun mostly.
The athletes aren't the only ones having fun. The volunteers practice with them and teach the athletes the fundamentals of the game. Zach Damasio says it's a win-win.
I just think it's great volunteering, helping these kids. There's nothing better than seeing how happy they are, after a game, after a win, or after they make a basket.
The teams will compete in the qualifying tournament for a chance to make it to the state championship. In Boston, I'm Catherine Lazarowitz, WEBN News.
Disabilities don't have to be just mental or physical. It's important to remember that they can be developmental or sensory too. So it's not something you can always see. During today's show, we touched on some of the many disabilities people have, but we didn't talk about all of them. For more information on disabilities, you can visit the Massachusetts Office on Disabilities website at mass.gov. Thank you for watching this WEBN special presentation, Beyond the Disability. I'm Jill Guerin.